Take a look at this blind resume here. It's 3 players. Their scoring average in each person's final college season. Do we have any guesses who this might be? Jalen, who do you think? What is this?
Nah, this is hilarious. JJ's on the right.
It's our starting lineup from tonight.
Well, they're not telling us I only played 1 game because I cracked my kneecap in half.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. What to do, people? It's your boy That Way with Jack Travis to be precise, man. You know how we do, you know how we doing the back of this thing again, you understand me, man? Topic of discussion today, Stephen A. Smith. Now, I've been meaning to get on Stephen A. for a minute here now, man. If you keep up with sports talk, television, Stephen A. is one of the foremost proprietors of bullshit takes in existence, right? We've had all kind of different little situations with Stephen A. Most recently, we had some controversy with Miss Monica McNutt when she checked Stephen A. about his coverage of the WNBA, because all of a sudden, every day on the show, he's got something to say about the WNBA and how the girls should be grateful about this, that, and the third. And she was like, you know, Stephen A., you could have been talking about this for the last 3 years, but you didn't, just like no one else was. And now you're trying to act like you're such an advocate, like, get your fake ass out of here. She banged on him. We hadn't seen Miss McNutt back on the show since then. Maybe once, and now she's on vacation, what have you. Most likely fired him. And, you know, you can't really find anyone to work with Stephen A., man. Shannon Sharp is out there with him now. We all know the fallout behind the Max Kellerman thing. Max told him, like, man, you know, I just may be blacker than you. Terrell Owens co-signed it, and the public at large. I, for one, also co-signed it. Stephen A. has had plenty of controversial takes, man. They just haven't been placed to be like a loudmouth, cold take guy. You dig what I'm saying? I don't know how much it's going to last because he's been on fire here lately the last couple of months. Just coming out of his mouth all crazy, man. 3 crazy. You dig what I'm saying? I'm sure you all remember this right here.
Why is that happening? That's my question.
As much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through.
The black
He wasn't
population.
lying.
It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot.
The
You know, they do
law,
shirts.
law enforcement, the court system, and everything else being exercised against him, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to with some of our historic, iconic figures. We've seen that happen throughout society. So no matter what race, what ethnicity you may emanate from, we relate to you when you're suffering like that because we know we have.
To compare black history where we've been discriminated against to his plight.
Yes.
Well, first of all, he's a billionaire, and they're prosecuting him for stuff he did wrong. They're prosecuting him for stuff he did wrong. People can vote for who they want to.
I felt
But
so
for
serious
him
about
to
this,
compare
fellas.
his
I called
plight
the
with
league
that other
office, and I
African,
said, I
I
need an
don't even like that
explanation.
term,
Tell
the
me why
black
Russell
people in
Westbrook wasn't
America
suspended.
is asinine and stupid. It bothered me because for him to compare a white billionaire who is in trouble because of stuff he did.
Yes.
Not because of stuff, like black people get in trouble stuff that happened
That they did not
didn't
do.
deserve to do.
Yes.
But for him
They
to
did not
compare that to black people's plight, that's just stupid on their part.
That Russell Westbrook deserved to be suspended for today's game. That's how appalling his game was. Now,
Yeah. One of the coldest takes imaginable. Black people the world over, the country over, sympathize with Donald Trump because he was arrested, because he has a mugshot. We do shirts. You know, they do shirts, let Trump tell it. You heard Charles Barkley go on to explain that comparing the plight of black people, our historical leaders, and the troubles they face with COINTELPRO. It's countless things I could go into. But to suggest that black people will see Donald Trump and his plight in being convicted for things he actually did, that we would see some kinship in that relationship. What black people are Stephen A. talking to? Because I don't imagine. I guess he's got plenty of black friends. He's a black guy in New York, you know. He's got some money, got some status, but I don't think there's no real niggas rocking with Stephen A. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no way you sit around and have conversation with real solid black people on a daily basis and you let that come out of your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are like the talking points of Sean Hannity and Fox News and Newsmax and OAN and Charlie Kirk and Laura Ingraham. Speaking of Laura Ingraham, we saw what she told Vivek the other day. Like, you know, I wouldn't vote for you. You're a brilliant guy, but I won't vote for you because you're Indian. If black conservatives out here don't understand that you could have marked out Indian and put black, like, you know, I saw Carrie Lake the other day. She came out with some kind of stupid video, and she says in the next couple of months that she thinks that there will be an expose on Barack Obama. You know, it's something to say about how much they keep Barack and Michelle Obama on their brains. People that have been out of office for years now. But anything that's wrong with the country, anything they want to point to, they always go back to Barack Hussein Obama and Michelle Obama. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? Black conservatives out here, ask yourself, why is that? So again, you saw Charles Barkley get on his head, and then a little later, you know, down the line, not too long after that, first round of the playoffs, Russell Westbrook applied a couple of hard fouls to Luka Doncic's crybaby ass. You know what I'm saying? Stephen A. was so incensed. He was just so incensed. He actually called the NBA office to inquire as to why Mr. Westbrook wasn't suspended. Who does that? Who's sitting at home, bro, and will call the NBA to ask why a player wasn't suspended? What sense would that even make? Were you going to do a story on it? Like, what was your end goal? What was your end goal, Stephen A? Were you going to push for him to be suspended? I mean, there's probably countless situations throughout the NBA. I would take issue with Luka Doncic with his flopping and his crying and all of that. I'm glad the Boston Celtics roughed him up and he's in the NBA championship finals. You dig what I'm saying? Shout out to the Boston Celtics. I thought Minnesota should have did him like that. Should have put him on the ground immediately. Because he ain't built for it, man. He ain't no trench, baby. You dig what I'm saying? So that's Stephen A, man. And just some things I don't like about him. And generally, I don't like the guy. But I have to admit, his most recent take on the recent situation, I won't say that I agree with him. I'll say that what I saw him say gives me an opportunity to opine, taking that word from Stephen A, on the situation. So let's play you that clip and then we'll get into it.
I've never had a problem with his podcast. I had a problem with LeBron James agreeing to do the podcast. Not initially. Initially, we all celebrated it because we thought it was just going to be some podcast. But when they talked about getting in to the intricacies of discussing the game of basketball, and then we started hearing noise about Darvin Ham, the former Lakers head coach, fired after their first round series loss to the Denver Nuggets, by the way, you're saying to yourself, damn, why is it that you would choose to do the podcast at that particular time as opposed to after Darvin Ham lost the job, as opposed to once the playoffs began, or once the playoffs for the Los Angeles Lakers was over, or this summer? Why do it then? We're talking to LeBron James, not J.J. Redick. J.J. Redick was in the media. There was no guarantee he was going to be the next head coach of the Lakers. And if him, as an aspiring coach, used the broadcast industry to position himself for recognition purposes to get a job like the Lakers job, more power to him. Doc Rivers did it. Mark Jackson did it. There's plenty of people that have been in the broadcasting booth that ultimately found themselves in a situation facilitated by that level of exposure. There's no crime. J.J. Redick did nothing wrong. And initially, the thought process was LeBron wasn't doing anything wrong until you saw Darvin Ham on the hot seat. And when you saw Darvin Ham on the hot seat, and then you saw the lingo and the verbiage and the language used in terms of them dissecting what was transpiring on a basketball court for NBA games and beyond with their Mind the Game podcast, and then ultimately Darvin Ham loses the job and J.J. Redick emerges as the top candidate for the job, I mean, what's wrong with saying 1 + 1 = 2? It's not a crime to point that out. It's not a crime.
All right. All LeBron stands, tune in. I would love for you to get in my comments because I'm going to say some things that's sure to inflame you. Now, we all saw that the lick was in when we saw him come up with this podcast. Now, when they announced that they were having this podcast, it was mixed reactions. Now, if the purposes of it all was to put JJ out front and center, show the relationship that he has with LeBron James, usher him into the job, of course, we can see how that played out. We can see how that plan would come together. Now, as it pertains to the Los Angeles Lakers and Darvin Ham and LeBron James and JJ Redick and championship basketball, and I'll say this. LeBron James, man, while he has had a tremendously long basketball career, has broken countless records. I don't think LeBron James will win another championship. I don't think that his son Bronny is worth the wait for a father to see his son get into the league. I don't know that Bronny is worth the chance or the hype that comes behind getting him on your team. Because from what we were to understand that LeBron was going to go and play for whatever team drafted his son. Well, unless that's going to be the Los Angeles Lakers, it looked like that's dead in the water, right? Would the Los Angeles Lakers draft your son when obviously LeBron is trying to get him another ring before he leaves out of the league? I don't think they're going to get one with J.J. Redick. Not that I have anything against J.J. Redick. I don't know that I see what qualifies him to get the position, but, in the league, of course, they want him another Brad Stevens. Of course, they want him another, what's the guy? I forget. Brad Stevens is the one. That's the one that pops to mind. But, they were shooting at Dan Hurley, the guy from UConn. And I guess they were trying to go that Brad Stevens route again. I guess seeing that Boston was in the finals and they went on to win it. Maybe they were going along those lines. But, I looked at that Boston Celtic team. And when they took the team photo at the end on the stage, I noticed the one Sam Cassell, Little Ugly Sam. That's my dog, though. Houston Rocket player. You dig what I'm saying? Back old school player. He just came off a championship squad, assistant coach. Why did I give him a look? Maybe because he's from Boston. LA and Boston is a big rivalry, so maybe that's it. Who was the other guy I was thinking of? Not Sam Cassell. He's from Boston. That's another guy. Because I thought about, Joe Mazzulla just won the championship. Exactly where is he from? I won't call his ethnicity. But outside of Sam Cassell, Mark Jackson. What's up with Mark Jackson, man? Is he too godly? Like, is that what's keeping him from getting a look at a job? I got to feel like Mark Jackson is qualified enough to assume the role of a head coach again. And why they keep skipping over that, man, I just have no idea. But as far as this J.J. Redick and LeBron James out there in L.A., I don't think they'll win another championship. I don't think they're going to draft Bronny because they're trying to get in championship mode. So they need that spot to be someone that can actually do something on the court. AD had some pretty good playoffs for the first time in forever. But, being on the court with a LeBron James, man, he gets a lot of numbers. But I've always said he takes up too much space. His numbers require too much. And it just doesn't really leave room. Now, I don't watch every game, but it seems to me that every time he has a big game, it's like they lose. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, I feel like he takes up too much air on the court. And, ushering JJ Redick into that spot, man, I'm not even sure what was the attraction to that. And the way that LeBron went about it, it was kind of like that Big Three thing when they did that super simple ass event for him and Chris Bosh and I guess it's D Wade or whoever went. Like that was some of the games. You know what I'm saying? It was some of the games. But I don't like the way it came about. I don't think it's coming to fruition. No one's went to LA and won a championship in a very long time. They've had 3-4 coaches. It lasts about 2-3 years, and I fear that the same thing is going to happen with JJ Redick. And, for the other directions they could have gone, man, it just begs the question of why JJ Redick. What has he shown? That it's not even like he was an assistant or at a high school or anything. So, I got to ride with Stephen A on that particular point to where, like, you did that as soon as we saw Darvin Ham on the hot seat. And it just looked a little sketchy, bro. You dig what I'm saying? It looks a little sketchy. And at the end of the day, to think that JJ Redick is going to be the savior of the LA Lakers, come out there and get a 59-year-old LeBron James and a broke leg AD and an up and down D'Angelo Russell. Going to get them to play some championship basketball, I think, is wishful thinking. But we'll see how it plays out. You know how it is playing sports out there in LA, and me in the head, man, like it can come crashing down really quick. So we'll keep our eyes on it, and we'll see what happens, man. Until then, this has been That Way with Jack Travis, man. I'll holler at y'all soon. Blah.